Fred Flash, and you are listening to the ECWF podcast.
Get the F out.
All right, welcome to episode number 15 of the ECWF podcast. We will not get the F out. We put the F back in. I am your host, Sean Bicking, and I'm coming to you not from the Honda Civic studio, but from the bedroom once again, live from the Electric City, Scranton, Pennsylvania. And my guest on this episode was Fred Flash. We sit down and have a conversation about RCW, Regional Championship Wrestling, where he is the current World and United States Champion. We also talk about working with the young Adam Cole from the very beginning, working with Al Snow, music, big music guy, and making the PWI 500 also. So, enjoy. All right, back on the podcast here with Fred Flash and Pittsburgh. Are you that where you're from?
I'm not originally from Pittsburgh. I actually grew up in a town about 2 hours away from there, west of there. Actually east of there. It's Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
So they're probably more known about the flood and everything, but I rep Pittsburgh. That's where I lived for the past 3 years, so
okay.
That's my hometown now.
Nice. Okay, and a big family growing up?
Yeah, big family.
How many brothers and sisters?
I actually only have one sister, but I have, dozens of cousins. I have cousins that I haven't even met yet. So,
okay.
Yeah, there's I got family all the way across the country, a lot down south, a lot out west too. So, yeah, we're a pretty big family, all kind of connecting now since we have social media and things like that.
Right. Brothers, older, younger?
My sister, actually, she's 3 years older than me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was just me and her. She used to kick my butt whenever we were growing up, so maybe that toughened me up for the ring. I don't know.
Okay. Wrestling fan?
Let's see. Well, not really. She wasn't really big into it, or like any of my cousins. None of them were really into it. I was the one that was always into wrestling. You know, that was my thing. So everybody else had football and everything like that. Me, I was always like, okay, can we turn off the Steelers and let me watch wrestling, please?
Yeah.
And now I love football, so that's kind of funny how that works out.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, growing up, like, you were the only one watching it, though? Like, would your parents take you to any the matches or see the...
Yeah. Actually, my dad, he was really awesome with it. Anytime they came, we have this arena in Johnstown called the War Memorial. And the funny thing is my parents, where they live right now, they live in a building that's right beside there. But I don't even know if there's been wrestling there for the past couple of years. But we used to get, I'm 34 now, so we're going way back in the 80s, early 90s. We had everything from NWA come there, WWF. So I grew up, I remember the first show my dad ever took me to, I saw, I want to say it was Demolition, there was Hercules versus Billy Jack Haynes in a chain match. So my first time there, I'm seeing the blood and the gore and everything. So it was pretty awesome. But anytime there was a show, until I got old enough to go myself, my dad took me to every single one because they knew that I was just obsessed with it.
So how old were you when you saw like Demolition in that for the first time?
Oh, it was insane. You know, just getting to the arena, seeing the ring there, and, you know, being a little kid, and, you know, these guys are larger than life, as is, and you get there, and you see these guys for the first time, and just the whole thing, I remember just, like, kind of squinting my eyes, and just, it was so surreal, it was like I was in a dream. You know, it was just so insane.
So, I mean...
And I remember you take the snake, you know, versus Andre the Giant, you know, I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah. Was there a certain moment or a person that inspired you to say, like, I want to do that, like, for a career?
I think my parents always tell me, you know, that's all I talked about. That's kind of always what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be a wrestler ever since I was 3 years old. I could tell you exact instant whenever I decided that, okay, this is what I love. I remember, I guess I must have been watching it. I'm probably about 3 years old or so. And I remember my dad, he used to be a garbage man. So he would go all over the place, and there would be interesting stuff he'd bring home. He'd bring me home magazines and stuff from newsstands. And one time he brought me home these 2 videos. And one video was WrestleMania 1. And right away, it was like Hulk Hogan. I was a Hulkamaniac from that day on.
Mm-hmm.
But the other tape that he had was actually of the Road Warriors in Japan. So it just blew my mind, and I'm seeing these guys with the spikes and the face paint, and they're just destroying these Japanese guys, blood everywhere, and I was hooked. So I remember being a kid and kind of flipping through the channels, and I caught NWA, and I remember seeing one of the little video clips, and I seen the Road Warriors there. So right then and there, I was an NWA fan since. But anything that was wrestling that was on TV, I was watching it.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you like start training and stuff? Like, was it in Pittsburgh?
Yeah. No, actually, I was living in central PA. I was living in the Lancaster area. And let me give a shout out to my boys here, Hayne, Magus, G. Raver, Rizzo. That's like my clique, my crew of guys. We were all friends, always watched wrestling. We used to mess around in the yards and stuff like that. And one day we were all sitting there, and I remember the first person that, we were all kind of thinking it. And the first person to take the initiative was G. Raver, and he was like, "Hey guys, just so you know, I'm getting ready to go train. I'm going to go do this." And we were all kind of thinking that. So he ended up going to Chikara and trained for a little bit there. Then he transferred over to CZW for finish up his training. We ended up going to Groundbreaking Wrestling, which was in Gettysburg, Hanover area in PA.
Mm-hmm.
So we went there. It was me, Hayne, Magus, and we just started just hit the ground running, trained for a year or so. Funny thing for me, I actually have like 2 schools that I trained at, because whenever I made my debut, it was September 22nd in 2007, I get my first match. So excited. We get there, and we're in the locker room, and Greg Excellent, he ran Groundbreaking Wrestling. And we're sitting there, and it was one of those places where everybody loved going there. Just fun time. We had guys from CZW, a lot of guys from Maryland would come up. It was just like right there in the middle at the right spot. And he had to make the announcement that, hey, well, we're not going to be doing this building anymore. We're going to be taking some time off. So they took almost a year off, and I'm like, oh, crap, I just made my debut. What am I going to do? So DJ Hyde, he was running the training center down at CZW, and he said, hey, any of your trainees, they're more than welcome to come down and train with me. So already I had one of my best friends, G. Raver, training down there. So I just hooked up with him, and we spent a good year or so training, putting up rings down at CZW and going every week. That's how we ended up meeting Adam Cole. His first ever match he got was actually riding with us. We were doing a show down in Philly, ECWF. I remember the guy, Charles, is this big black dude, real funny guy. And he was like, he looked at this kid, and we always told Adam, he was like, yeah, dude, you got the look. You're going to make it, kind of thing. And we go to this show, and he takes one look at him. He's like, oh, you're a pretty mother effer. He's like, I'm going to use you. And he ended up getting his first gig with us. So it's kind of cool to see where he's progressed now and everything, but we always kind of seen it in him. We knew he had it to make it where he's been.
Yeah, that's cool. So,
definitely.
Getting into your training, did you have to like have a regular job to pay for that?
Oh yeah. That's one of the things that I tell people. I mean, by then, my first son was born. I have 3 children now, but my first son was already born. I used to take him to the trainings with me and stuff, but I still had to go to work every day. I remember getting my nose broken in training at GBW, and I went into work the next day. I was working at this college and working with these chefs and everything, and the head chef comes up, dude, who beat you up? And I was like, nah, man, I got a missed enziguri, and I took it in the face and had a broken nose, so I had the black eye and everything. But there's every day I would Monday through Friday still have to do my regular job and still be able to try to. I always told people this isn't my career. I'm using this job to pay for my career and get out there and do these shows and stuff. But it's one thing that I tell people, being a wrestler and if your name's out there a little bit, people look at you a certain way. They're like, oh, well, look at Fred, he's a wrestler, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, look, I'm still doing the same job you guys are doing, but I took that initiative and that step to do something that I love. And I try to tell my kids that, like, hey, I could die tomorrow. I might not have made it to WWE or been all the places that I'd like to go, but if I would have to stop wrestling today or whatever, I would still be able to say, hey, I got to do what I always wanted to do in my life. So I just try to tell people out there, like, just whatever you want to do. If you want to be the president, an astronaut, whatever, go for it. Like, nothing's stopping you but you. So, I try to tell people I'm like the most humble wrestler in the world. I don't try to toot my own horn out in the real world out here at all. But, I just tell them the one thing that might separate me is the fact that, hey, I'm going to go pursue these dreams, but I think everybody should anyway. That's how I live my life. I'm always going to strive for happiness and, to go not just living the normal 24/7 thing. I want to do a little more in my life. So,
absolutely. Yeah. So,
definitely.
Training in CZW, like, did you see, like, that kind of style of match, like, what they were known for, like, that crazy hardcore stuff?
We would see that on the shows more than anything, but our training, it was great. Like, I got a lot of good training at Groundbreaker Wrestling. So the guys that trained me there was Simon Rhyme and another worker named Eric Edgars. And those guys taught me so much. And then whenever I went to CZW, we had people like Sabian would be there, Drew Gulak. He showed us a lot of lucha-style things. And DJ, he was just like, we were hard as a rock whenever we came out of there. There was times we actually took bumps on the concrete and things like that. But, we just trained so hard. And I look at some of my footage whenever I came out, and it's like, dude, we were just ready to kill people whenever we finally got out there. So they trained us really well. And it was a great class. It was me, G. Raver. There was Ryan Slater, Joe Gacy, Adam Cole, Alex Colon. So we kind of had just this great class of us that came out, and it's great to see all these guys are still doing their thing out there.
Yeah. Okay. And you said you trained for like a year before you had your first match. Do you remember? Mm-hmm. Do you remember it?
Yes, yeah. It's actually somewhere hidden on YouTube somewhere. I think you could put Fred Flash versus MX. It's probably god awful at this point, but I remember having a match, and that kid actually, he ended up going under another name later on in his career and stuff, but it was somebody that I trained with every day and everything, so I felt comfortable to go out there. And I remember just being so hyped, and I think I remember just being on a video, I'm just like, oh, Fred Flash, and I'm just yelling at the crowd, and, it's kind of still what I do. I like to make sure the crowd's involved. You go out there and, do 50 flips and all this and that. But if you're not involving the crowd into it and making them emotionally invested, whether they love you or hate you, then I think you're kind of missing it a little bit. So I like to bring the crowd in. There are certain places that I know that focus more on just the competition in the ring, but I've always prided myself to be a character, and, I want you to have some kind of reaction. So I'm always going to be either talking trash or making silly faces to get people into it. So.
Yeah. So from your debut though, you're always Fred Flash?
Yep, I was always Fred Flash. I've had different little iterations of my style. There was probably about a year or so that I was just Fred Flash, and then it was kind of like the moniker Fabulous Fred Flash kind of came about. And I remember, I think it was actually DJ Hyde. He said to me once, he's like, well, if you're going to be Fabulous Fred Flash, then you need to be more fabulous. And I'm like, okay. So, I started, I actually made my own trunks and everything like that. So I started working on getting the feather boas and the sequin jackets and different crazy sunglasses. And I ran with that for a good part of almost all of my career until up until recently. I kind of switched it a little bit. Now I'm doing the skull mask thing and stuff. But, yeah, I had a lot of fun. It's Fabulous Red Flash. So I would go out there and, the one thing that stopped me from doing a feather boa is I was actually one of my roommates who's a wrestler at the time, Big Buddha, down in GBW. We were living in a trailer in Gettysburg. And I remember the one time he's cussing from me in the bathroom, and I'm like, dude, what's going on? And he's like, dude, your freaking feathers are tickling like, what? And I was like, sorry. So my feathers were everywhere. So it was kind of like a strategic thing, too, to get rid of the feather boas. Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm tired of this mess.
That's great. So,
but yeah, I've always been Fred Flash.
Okay. You mentioned the skull mask that you wear now, and is that something you make yourself, you said?
Yeah. I kind of sit at home and come up with a design. And
I think those are badass. Like, they look real.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, eventually I'm going to get smart and actually make some so I could sell some gimmicks and everything. But
Yeah, definitely
I
should.
would
Yeah.
just come up with a design, and I've been making. I think actually, except for whenever I was teaming up with Hayne and we were going to Hellfire Club, that was the only time I didn't make my own trunks. So back whenever I was doing the Fabulous thing, I was making my own gear. Actually, little trivia thing here. Adam Cole, his first like 2 sets of trunks or so, the blue with the little pine tree on it or whatever, I made those for him. So
Nice.
that was designing a little bit, and anything I could help out any of my friends, I would do. But I'm one of those people, I could barely get a T-shirt designed for myself. So after the last couple of years, it's like, okay, I'm just going to go buy this or whatever. But whenever it comes to the mask, I just come up with an idea, and especially my favorite one's the yellow one that I have, because at the time I was living in Pittsburgh, coming out to a place near Philly. I was wrestling Reading a lot. So whenever I came there and I'm like, Pittsburgh, this and that, and I'm wearing the colors, it's just instant heat. So I had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, that's cool. So, like, you like sewing and everything for your trunks, like all that stuff?
Yeah, had the
wow.
sewing machine, the whole 9
Look at
yards,
you.
going to Joanne Fabric. I was like a card-carrying member for Joanne Fabric. I'd go in there and buy all the pleather I could and, just come up with whatever crazy designs. And for the longest, I was one of those type of guys that I wanted it to be every time you see me, I'm wearing something different. I didn't want to just be the same colors or the same design every time. So even the last match I worked, that was a tournament at RCW up in Reading. And if you look at the pictures, they just posted the pictures today, actually, which I was excited about. And every match that I had 3 matches, and I made sure I wore a different outfit for every different one.
Nice,
So I just try to, keep it interesting. And, I don't want to be complacent with my style at all.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that probably saves you a bunch of money too.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so you mentioned RCW, and you are the current world champion and U.S. champion there.
Yep.
So
now
I was gonna say most people like have a hard time with the responsibility and like the pressure of one title, and now you have 2.
Yeah, and I've already stated to management there that I am not relinquishing the United States title whatsoever. So even though I'm the world champion now, I will wrestle 2 times on that show. I will defend both titles. So, it's one of those things I've always felt over the years whenever I started at RCW. The first show I was there, I ended up winning the United States title. So I've kind of on and off been their champion there for 2016, probably 2010 or so I won. So it's been about 6, almost 7 years that off and on I've been their champion for the United States title, and I've always kind of felt like I was the one consistent factor there as far as being their United States champion. There would be guys that would come in and get the world title, they'd lose at the next one, you never see them again, things like that. But I've always been there, so I've always kind of felt like I've been the standard bearer for them as a champion. So me getting the world title is like my vindication of me and my hard work and everything, and I just want to I'm just ready to rock it. I'm just like, the world is mine there. So as far as I'm concerned, Reading area, that's my territory. You got to go through me if you're going to, try to make any noise up there. So I'm ready to take the challenge and do what I can for the fans and the company.
Right. Okay. And you're actually a 2-time U.S. champ there, you said, and they were 2 different. You have long reigns with both times, right?
Yes. Yeah. This last reign, I know I've had the title. I want to say it's been at least 2 years or so, and before then, I had the title for probably 3 years or so before I actually lost it.
And that's
so,
that's working every weekend.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's like I've quietly am holding this record there. I might not get acknowledged much in the magazines or anything with it, but I've had this reign there for so long. So it's kind of like one of those things for them to give me that opportunity and for me to be able to just take it and run with it. They've always had my back and everything. So I don't care if I'd wrestle in front of 2 people or 2,000. As long as RCW's running, I plan on being there. So I'm dedicated to helping make that a success, and hopefully it'll help them out and everything. So yeah, it's been some long ring. You know, I kind of joke about it, like this quiet, you know, record that I've been breaking.
Yeah, for real, yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad somebody at least noticed.
And also, you've been a multi-tag team champion for various different promotions, right?
Yes. Yeah. Let's see. The first one was a company called Diamond Championship Wrestling. That was out in like northern, like northwest PA, Indiana, PA. I guess would be closest near like city that is relevant. But it was me and G Raver, and we just hit the ground running. We were called the New Revolution, and it was one of those things. Whenever we were ready, we were told by our trainers, like, "Hey, go get booked, go get yourself out there." And one of the first shows we got there, I don't know if you remember a tag team called the Best Around, but they were around for a little bit. TJ Cannon and Bruce Maxwell. We ended up beating them to become the first-time tag team champions there, and we held it for a couple of months there. And then after that, I think the next, let's see, I had the ACW, Atomic Championship Wrestling. I had a tag team titles with a guy named Pretty Fly. So our tag team was called Pretty Fabulous. We had that for a little bit. I ended up wrestling Just Incredible during that reign, but the footage never made it. It never got recorded. So there's only maybe one Facebook picture of me in the ring, and you see Just Incredible behind there. So I have a little bit of proof, but not that much. Yeah, and then I think the other title reigns. Now I'm thinking of it. We did Cubby Pro. Me and Hayne became tag champs down there. Just briefly, that's down in West Virginia, and then me and him also had a few title reigns in SWO up in the Lancaster area.
That's Susquehanna, right?
Yeah, I love being tag. You know, I could do singles, tag team, whatever. You know, I've had so much fun with every different kind of wrestling growing up, but I was a really big fan of tag team wrestling. So, you know, I wouldn't care if I was booked in tag teams for the rest of my career because, you know, it's just so fun for me. And I love teams that match colors and stuff like that. You know, doing the Hellfire Club, that kind of got me doing the skull masks and everything because we used to do the bandanas over our face. And, you know, it's one of those things. It's like, okay, there's too many wrestlers doing the bandanas. I'm singles now. So I started just making my own skull mask. So I've just been running with that then.
Yeah. So, what was that experience, though, like, because you said with your friend, G Raver, being a tag team with him, that had to be, a blast every night?
Oh, yeah, because the funny thing is I got to be the big guy in the team. So, yeah, but he's just insane. I mean, I guess I would be a cruiserweight, but I always tell him, I can't really do flips. You know, I could flip forward, but I'm not doing moonsaults or anything. So he was the guy that's doing the big moonsault out into the third row and stuff like that. And, you know, our styles were just able to click, but then training with each other, and we've known each other for years even before we got into wrestling. So, I mean, this guy is babysat my kids kind of thing. So that's how close we are. So we could go out there and we don't even have to say much to each other, and we could just make it happen. So for my first year or so, it was me and him teaming up down in DCW and some other places, but then also anywhere we went, Philly, Jersey, anything like that, Fred Flash versus G Raver. All right, you guys go do your shit, you know. So we would just go do our thing, and you know, it was a lot of fun. And the funny thing is, I've been trying to, you know, get these promoters out here to hey, you know, somebody really great that I'd be able to work is G Raver. He's my Shawn Michaels to the Bret Hart kind of thing. You know, we've had so many great matches that I'd love to get in the ring with him after we haven't worked together for 4 or 5 years to see how much we progressed and everything. We would just go out there and tear each other up. First time I ever got knocked out in the ring, G Raver, he actually got a really bad injury whenever we broke up as a tag team. We had a match at DCW. And he went to do this crazy Hurricanrana off the top of on the top rope down to the floor. Ooh. The floor has no padding or anything, so he comes down, hooks it, we roll through, and whenever we roll through, I'm on my back, and I just kind of see him just falling backwards, and his eyes rolled in the back of his head. He cracked his skull on the way down. So that was pretty crazy, but, you know, it's one of those things. He was just like, hey, dude, you know, I'm okay. I'm going to be all right. But I was ready to hang it up there, honestly. I was like I can't have one of my friends out here almost died and stuff. But sometimes that's the thing. Whenever they say don't try this at home, it's dangerous. So
Yeah.
there's definitely some times that was scary. But we would go so hard. I think that was just one of our things. We would just tear into each other, and I dislocated my shoulder down in Philly real bad doing a dive off the ring. And one of the things, the ring was like an extra foot taller than normal. So I'm coming an extra 6 feet or so off the top, and whenever I landed, my back bounced off the top of his head, and I rolled forward, and I went to catch myself, and my right shoulder literally just went in the socket. So I pulled it back out. As soon as we got back in the ring, as soon as I took the next ball, my whole shoulder just blows out on me.
Oh,
but
man.
yeah, it was insane. But me being as crazy as I was and hungry and young and dumb, I probably still was getting booked 2 weeks or so after that, whenever I should have taken a little bit of time off.
Man.
But, in hindsight, it's I should have taken the time off. But at the time, I was just, running fast and everything. But,
right.
Luckily, we're still able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to tell us, they would joke with us, oh, you guys can't be booked together because you're just going to hurt each other. But I think now, a couple years later and everything, we're a lot wiser and we're not doing as much crazy stuff that I think we would still be able to go out there and just knock it out of the park. So
Is that somebody you still keep in touch with?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, it's funny. I'm kind of out of the group. I always tell the guys, I joke with them that I'm like the loose cannon out of the group.
Yeah.
So I'm the crazy one. I always got a crazy story and situation. But I was working this crappy job, and I felt, this is only a week ago, actually last Monday, and I decided that day, I'm quitting, and I'm stuck in this town an hour away from where I'm staying at. And luckily, G. Raver lived in that town, so I'm messaging on her little messenger on Facebook. I'm like, dude, I'm kind of stuck up here. Where are you at? I got money for gas. He helped me out. So that's my boy. He came through and he took me back home. We got to hang out for a little bit and stuff. But yeah, it's my ace in the hole. Any of those guys in that group we're more than just friends. We're family. So
That's cool.
Once I was in that situation, he was there to help me out.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I was gonna say, Fred, we just met a mutual friend today, booking agent Sean Patrick Mullen.
Yeah.
If you want to pass the word along.
Yeah, I'm now officially, I believe it's called Extreme Pro Wrestling Booking.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so now I'm being represented by them. So if anybody wants to book Fred Flash, I'm always willing and available anyway. But now I have somebody that you can contact through. I'm a little hard to get a hold of, as you probably know. So
Yeah.
Now I have some representation now, and I'm hoping it'll kind of put me in the right spots that I need to be. I've been ready to kind of take the next step, and I think this is the right step for me. So I'm really excited to work with these guys and, get my name out there a little more to get out of the Northeast a little bit, maybe.
Well, hey, you said it's your city, though. Reading, that's your area.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's my area, so, it's always going to be home. I have got to work a couple of places down in the Pittsburgh area, VOW, Vicious Outcast Wrestling. Those guys are doing really good. Love the production and everything those guys got there. So if anybody wants to check those guys out, they're wonderful. Nothing but good things to say about them. Also got to work at PWX down in Pittsburgh. They've had their names out there for a while, and got to work with those guys. Another place where I went into their arena. They have the whole TV set up. They have the ramp and everything. Fantastic. So there's some good places out in Pittsburgh. I've been fortunate to work with some great people out there. But yeah, mainly I stick out in the central PA. It's Reading, Lancaster, that area. So I pop in here and there. SWO, I do RCW. Obviously, being a champ, I'm there every month with those guys. But yeah, I'm ready to branch out a little bit. A couple of states I haven't hit yet in the Northeast. I haven't hit New York City yet. I've got the rest of Erie area, but I haven't been in New York City, New York State. So I'd like to, get out to New York and, maybe get down south a little bit and see what's going on.
Yeah.
These other necks of the woods.
Yeah, definitely. So what's the farthest you've been, though? You have no overseas or anything?
I haven't been overseas yet. I would love the opportunity to know. There was a point whenever me and Hayne were in contact with some guys in Ireland, and it's kind of funny because like my favorite band is a band called Thin Lizzy, and they're an Irish rock band. Boys Are Back in Town, if anybody knows that. But
Yeah.
I would love to go to Ireland anyway because I'd love to take a picture beside the statue of my favorite frontman of all time, Phil Lynott. But just to be able to go overseas and work with some of those guys would be great. I don't know what happened, where that fell through, but we were supposed to go to Ireland. But maybe things are still looking up for the future. So I'm kind of open to go anywhere. You know, I got a free schedule right now.
Cool. Yeah. Just before you mentioned XPW and because they had like a setup with the ramp and everything, like that. People think that's such like a small like minuscule thing, but like it really makes a difference.
Yeah, it just shows the professionalism and everything. I mean, these guys, it was kind of funny because whenever I showed up, it's right behind this abandoned church. So I see the sign that says Live Pro Wrestling and everything. It's my first time there. And I walk into this church, and this church is like completely abandoned, and there's like spray paint all over the altar and Hail Satan and all kind of crazy stuff. I was like, oh my God, I am not in the right place. But seeing a car kind of going around the back, and there's a building back there. And I went down the stairs, and it was just like, wow, this is amazing. Like, all the walls were painted black. They had a nice little area where the hard cam was facing down to the ramp. So, you know, hopefully I'll be able to hook up with those guys in the future. But, yeah, it was really, really neat to go in there. And actually did a seminar with Jimmy Rave. So that was pretty cool.
Mm. Okay. And we talked a little bit about Adam Cole, kind of getting your start with you guys. Like obviously he's blown up now with the whole Bullet Club thing just last weekend. Is that somebody you still keep in contact with too?
Yeah, actually, my birthday, and you know, it's one of those things like being out there and doing what we do. You understand, like if one of your buddies is, you know, kind of going and doing their thing, you realize like, hey, you know, I'm not going to be able to contact this guy that much and talk to them and everything. But one really cool thing, it was my birthday, and out of nowhere, you know, he messaged me, and he's just like asking how I've been and how life's been and stuff. So it's really cool, and he's one of those guys. No matter how big he gets and how far he gets, he's still that same humble, bright-eyed kid that's just excited to be there and everything. So nothing but good things I could say about Adam Cole. He's wonderful. We kind of seen it from the beginning. It's like, dude, we know you're going to make it, and he's making it. I believe whenever he graduated high school, it was one of those things he told his folks, like, this is what I want to do. They, you know, got him into the wrestling school where he went, and he just hit the ground running.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, tour de force. So it's great to see. I love all the guys that I come up with and broke bread with. It's like, oh, there he goes, you know. So they're just, you know, really proud. And,
yeah, it's almost like a piece of you, like, with them, like.
Yeah, in a way, you know, it's like, hey, we got to, you know, be there with the humble beginnings, and, you know, now you just kind of, you know, be able to watch them reach for the stars, and it's just amazing. But he's one person that never forgot where he came from, still in contact, still is the same guy whenever you talk to him. So that's what I love about him. I think, you know, I hope he goes on to become world champion in WWE and everything. So, you know, wish nothing but the best for him. He's a great guy, really good guy.
That's so refreshing to hear too, because like a lot of these guys you see like they make it big and then it's like they just like kind of shit on everybody else, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's really refreshing to hear.
Anybody I talk to too, they're like, man, like, yeah, Adam's just wonderful. He's always, you know, still one of the boys, still conversating, whatever, you know, and he's the type of person. I remember me and Maven Bentley, we were talking, somebody, you know, I guess we had a conversation, he came up, and, you know, Maven said he was like, you know, he's one of those people that whenever you talk to him, if you message him, he might not be able to get back to you right away because he does have a full schedule, he's busy, but he will get back to you. You know, so that's just really great to see. You know, another guy that is doing his thing that kind of came up with a little bit and doing his thing is Richie Swann. You know, and it's just wonderful. The thing with Richie, I remember we were doing the GBW shows, and if anybody could ever see any of the DVDs or anything, they have a GBW. There's so much great talent that was coming through there. I got to work a couple of good matches with him down there, but I remember this kid. He used to come to the shows, and I remember he was wearing his Rite Aid outfit. He just came out of work and stuff, and it's just great to see years later. It's like, what, did you see Richie's in NXT? And so it's great. I mean, I have this joke I was telling one of my friends. I was like, well, he got to meet my second baby's mom, which nobody else has, kind of thing. So it's like, that we were cool. He sat there, and they're like, when's Richie coming over with his guitar and stuff? So
yeah,
he actually is really good on guitar. So I wish I was happy good as he was. He kind of blew my mind whenever he started playing.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know that about him.
Yeah. Really, really full of energy. So I think he's going to do really good there, because if he's anything like if they let him be who he is as a person, he's just full of energy, and he's got charisma to spare. So I think he's going to be just fine up there.
Yeah, he got crazy athleticism, and I mean, he was tagging with Ricochet for a little while.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's just, it's great, whenever I see, like, oh, well, any of my boys, like, oh, well, this guy got to go to Japan and stuff, and that's, like, awesome, that's wonderful. So, for me, like I said, I'm very humble with myself and everything. This is one thing that I love. As much as I could give to this business, I could give to it, but I still consider myself a normal person. I'm very humble about it. I never... I don't walk around the streets like, hey, I'm Fred Flash, I wrestle, and I'm this and that. If somebody brings it up, oh, yeah, great. One time I got a ticket. I got pulled over by this cop in my hometown, and the guy signing my ticket or whatever, and he's like, hey, you still doing that wrestling? And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, how did this guy know who I was? So, like, that was just, like, a weird thing. But, I never...
Wait, did you get out of the ticket?
Yeah, I actually did, which was kind of cool, So, I still never know what that connection really is with that. But, it's interesting. But anytime anybody, mentions it or whatever, I'm like, yeah, but, whenever it's time to go out there and do the shows, put the light, the red lights on, I'm ready to rock. But, during the weekdays and whenever I'm not doing it, I'm just a normal guy. I sit and play guitar, and I try to write my music. I like skateboarding, and I love Jell-O, so I'm just a normal dude, I feel, just, doing what I want with my life. So I always tell people there's no money or there's nothing you could offer me to change the type of person I am. And I totally will drop anything. I've dropped jobs that, you're guaranteed $50,000 a year to be this management and stuff like that. And if it changed the person that I was and I didn't like who I was becoming, I dropped it. It's like there's nothing that's going to change my integrity and my convictions and everything. So, I'm just all about being happy, and, I love surrounding myself with people that think outside the box and just want to, live a little, like, hey, let's go skydiving, let's go to this concert on a whim, like, whatever, let's just do it. So, the wrestling's just another part of that, but, it's been so great, and so many friends and family members. There's more guys that I could call that I've wrestled with that I can count on than probably anybody I've met elsewise in my life. There's been times where I've had situations, I don't have a place to live, or this is going on, and all my wrestling buddies have hit me up. So, I have such a connection. It's kind of, you never really get out of it, So I know one day I'll retire, but I don't think I'll ever go away, I'll still have to find myself some way into it.
Yeah.
Hopefully my kids won't want to wrestle or anything. They said they're not interested in it, so
okay.
I don't have to worry about injuries or some of the nonsense I've had to deal with.
Yeah. And you said you have 3 kids. How old is your oldest?
My oldest is 12.
Oh,
12
okay.
going on 18. So, yeah, he's, getting to that age now. I see myself kind of not winding down, but I'm slowing down as many bookings as I'm getting and stuff. My main focus is my children. So, if it would be one of those things where I had to make that choice, like, hey, if you could, go to WWE or go to Japan or whatever, but that's going to compromise you seeing your kids or whatever, I'm going to choose my kids every time. My family.
Oh, absolutely.
First. Absolutely. So, right now I'm kind of more concerned instead of, getting the thrill of the crowd and everything and being out there and performing. I want my kids to be like, Dad, you're the best. You're the best dad ever. That would be a better vindication for me right now where I'm at in my life. So, I'm just, my oldest is 12. Let's see, my middle one, Lucas, he's 7. And he's a character. He's the one that I might have to watch out for. He might want to jump the ring because he's got that kind of in him, But my youngest is my little princess, Rowan. She's 5. And they're just great kids. You know, I don't live with them, but where they're being raised at and everything, they're becoming just great people. They're very respectable. My oldest, Freddie, he holds the door to this day. My ex-girlfriend now, whenever she used to go to shows with me and we'd have all the kids with us, one time she came up to me and she was like, well, I got to tell you, Freddie is just the most, like, the biggest gentleman I've ever seen. He held the door open for every little girl to go through the door and everything. And I remember I taught him that whenever he's like 4 or 5 years old, and now he's 12 and he's still doing that. And, you know, it's just awesome. You know, it's great to see, like, they're listening and stuff.
Right, yeah. That's awesome.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is, definitely. Okay, one of the names you mentioned before a little earlier, Maven Bentley, and that's that's somebody that has been your manager, and you've been on the other side of it too, right?
Yeah. We've kind of just, as far as RCW, from day one of me being there, he's either been like either a manager of mine or he's been my worst enemy. So, you know, we've been. I told him one time in a promo, I was like, we're tied at the hip, you know. So, you know, lately it's been him being in my corner and everything. So it's kind of, I think I like Maven being with me a little more than against me. I think we have great chemistry and stuff. We just go out there and have a blast. So, yeah, Maven's a great guy. I remember just on strength and conditioning stuff, whenever we were training in ECW, I always remembered he told me to get our resistance bands, you know, and now I always carry my resistance bands with me. Like, you want to look tight and you want to get that tight look, so you use the resistance bands, and I've always remembered that. So, you know, every show I go to, those bands are with me. So, yeah, Maven's kind of, you know, he's always been around even during the training and stuff. So, you know, it's just great to have people that you enjoy being around that are still there.
Yeah.
You know, but, yeah, whether he's on the other side, you know, having somebody come up against me or he's in my corner, always great times with him. So, yeah, I really enjoy Mason.
Yeah, somebody I reach out to, try to get him on the podcast. But, okay.
Yeah, he's a great character, so I'm sure it'd be a blast for you.
Okay. Any Al Snow stories you could share?
Well, let's see. Whenever I met him, we did the RCW show, and that's still to this day like the biggest show we had. It was huge. We had Danny Bonaducci there.
Yeah, I saw the flyer.
Well, there was Al Snow,
Balls Mahoney.
Yeah, Balls was there. We had Eugene. Eugene was there as well, which was real funny. I'm gonna real quick before Al Snow. Just a funny story I had with Eugene. So we're doing the show. We're out there waiting. We're hanging out, and he just walks up like from his hotel room. He starts talking to us, and we're talking about the shows and stuff. And he started talking about some stuff backstage at WWE because he just came from there. So he was telling us like an Arn Anderson story or something like that. And then I believe the show was called like Mega Brawl 5 or something like that. And he just turned around to us, he's telling the story, and he's like, and now I'm at Mega Brawl 5. And he's like, just so you guys know, after I'm done tonight, I'm burning my boots. But it was just the funniest thing. Like, he was just really, really funny guy and stuff. But, yeah, Al was really cool. We didn't get to, like, conversate that much before the match. I remember whenever we went out there, we worked Ed House and Bodacious Pretty Boy, Ray Torres, who's also the booker for RCW. And I remember whenever we had to get into the venue, our locker room was kind of in a separate building, and we had to go outside around the back and go up the stairs. And I don't remember if it was snowing out or I remember it being really, really cold. So we're sitting there in our trunks, just next to nothing. And we were waiting for the music to go, and he was just kind of like, it's too cold, let's go. You know, so we go and we just, you know, just run and attack those guys while they're halfway through their promo and stuff. But, yeah, we didn't get to conversate too much. He was just really cool guy, really professional. You know, he's one of those things like, you know, I've always been told, you know, let's like, you know, whenever you're dealing with guys that are been there, the vets, stuff like that, you know, it's, what do you want to do? You know, so, you know, he just kind of like, we listened to him and we got everything planned out, and, you know, we went out there and had a great match. You know, it was just great to, you know, be in there with somebody, you know, you've watched from your teens growing up. I was a big ECW fan, so
same.
that was kind of huge for me. I was just like, oh my God, this is awesome. So, just me being able to toss the head into the ring, and, he let me get the body press from the top, get the win and everything. It was a good time. So, yeah, nothing but good things about Al. But we didn't get to actually conversate too much, so I didn't get to really get a one-on-one that much with him and everything. But all my interactions I did have with him were pleasant. So, yeah, nothing but good things to say.
I was gonna say when you said he said it's too cold. I mean, your name's Al Snow, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I mean, it was brutal. Like, everybody was like, "Oh my God, it's so cold outside!" And literally, the door to the building where we were coming in, there is no way you could go inside and wait before you go out. Like, you're waiting on the outside on the top of the stairs to go in, and it was so cold. Like, I'm that type of person. Like, my friends and stuff, they make fun of me because I'm always wearing my hoodie, even if it's like 60 degrees. I hate being cold, so it's one of those things where I was dying. I'm just like, oh my God. And then he's like, let's go. So, yeah, we ran out there, did our thing and stuff.
Yeah, from the
pretty cool.
Yeah, from the pictures I saw, like it looked having a great time there. So.
Oh yeah, it was a great time. He let me be able to get in the ring a good bit of the time before he got in. So like, I got to have my time in the ring. So he was real generous as far as that, and I think it just worked out well. It's been a while since I've looked at the footage from it, but yeah, it was definitely a great experience, and it's just one of those things where it comes full circle. Seeing these guys that you came up watching and everything, and it's like, oh my God, I'm sharing the locker room with this guy. But I'd like to say, like, definitely a lot of my heroes. Like, I got if you know anybody that knows me personally, whenever I was growing up, teenager, everything. Sabu was like my favorite, absolute favorite, and I actually got to meet him about a year and a half ago. He actually wrestled G Raver at a BOW show, and me and my girlfriend at the time, we kind of ran into him at Sheets, hung out a little bit. I won't get too much into it, but we got to hang out,
right?
And what an awesome guy! So I've seen stories where people have said this and that about him, whatever. This guy was nothing but a gentleman. He was completely awesome. Actually taught me some stuff just while we're kind of hanging out in the parking lot. But, yeah, he was wonderful, So, yeah, I'd love to meet him again and stuff. And the cool thing, I remember at the end of our conversation, he's like, hey, maybe next time I could work you. And I'm there, trying to keep it professional, like, oh, that would be an honor. And on the inside, I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah, marking out a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so that was like my little mark out moment and stuff. But, yeah, it's funny how wrestling is, we're there, we're part of the show. Now we're, part of the locker room. You're one of the boys. So, you don't get that time. You can't really be like, oh my God, you were my favorite growing up and stuff like that. So now that's kind of transcended my regular life. I got to meet the guys from Thin Lizzy a couple of years ago, and we were at a famous sandwich shop in Pittsburgh for Manny Brothers. They put the fries and the coleslaw in the sandwich. And they were playing a venue right around the corner from there. And me and my girlfriend at the time, we go in there. The girl goes to sit us down. And I see them sitting there. And she's going to sit us at this table. And my girlfriend at the time, she's like, oh, well, we'll just sit at the bar. And I'm like, no, let's take this table over here. So we sit there. I'm texting her, like, you won't believe who's sitting beside us. And she realized it. And, me with my professionalism and what I've been trained and learned over the years, I waited until these guys got done. Then I'm like, hey, just not to bother you guys, but you're absolutely my favorite band. They see the T-shirts. We got the Thin Lizzy shirts on. Next thing you know, we're taking pictures. Me and the singer had the same tattoo from one of the albums before. Yeah, so that was just, like, really awesome. But now it's like, somebody's like, oh, my God, there goes this, football player, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's cool. I never wear any of my emotions on my face with anything like that.
Okay, now you kept bringing up your ex-girlfriend at the time, but like she seems to be with you a lot there. Different.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was like my she was my literal road wife.
Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately things didn't work out, but it was one of those things. Any shows that I was going to, she was always there with me, taking pictures, being a part of everything. So it's I think it's one of those things. This business is not really that great for relationships. So, if I could have any advice for anybody that's coming up or the young guys and stuff, it's one of those things you got to be with somebody that's going to support it, because you're going to be away from home. There's going to be times that you're going to miss certain events, and stuff to do this. And, there's a lot of sacrifices that you have to go through. So you kind of have to be with somebody that's going to be along for the ride, so to speak. Even if they're not going to every show, you need to be with somebody that supports it and, wants you to pursue your dreams, because it is going to take you away from home and you're going to miss a lot of things, doing this. So, at the time she was right there with everything. So it was nice to have, like, hey, let's go on the road. Here we go. Put the music on repeat and let's rock and roll.
Yeah, definitely. All right, a couple little more name drops I could throw in there. Did you do some work with Jake Roberts?
I was on a show with him. We did RCW. They, for the longest, up until recently, they decided to kind of work more on having guys that are homegrown, giving the local talent time and everything to get their chance at the spotlight. So they've kind of been going away from getting the big names in. But anytime I've done RCW shows, there's always been some kind of name there. And I got to meet Jake and stuff. And I hate the picture they had me in. So it sucks because now everybody's going to look at this picture. My one buddy called me out. He's like, dude, it's all gums, your smile. And I was trying to, I don't know, kind of make a serious grinning face or, whatever. And it totally just looks really bad because, it's all gums. And I'm like, this is the most horrible picture.
Yeah.
This is going to be the only picture I'll ever take with Jake. So. Yeah. But, he was really cool. I didn't get to conversate with him too much. It's kind of, whenever guys like that come in,
right.
This is a Hall of Famer, you kind of, talk to him whenever you think the right time is and everything. So we didn't have anything ourselves that we were involved in for the night. So, I just, I introduced myself earlier in the show outside, and then we took a picture because I was the champion at the time, the U.S. champion. So, kind of just hi, how you doing? Nice to meet you. But, yeah, he was a cool guy, pretty decent. I think he actually got bit by his snake, whoever brought the snake there that night.
Oh, really?
Reaching for it, he actually got bit on the hand. But I'm guessing he's used to that.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many times that probably happened, but...
Yeah. I'm just glad I didn't have anything to do with it. I don't like snakes, no bats, nothing. I don't like any kind of creepy creatures at all. So I'm glad I didn't have to do anything to that.
Okay. Another one I saw, Lanny Poffo.
Yeah, Lenny Poffo was there. He was really, really cool. The funny thing is, this is 3-4 years before WWE actually inducted Randy Savage into the Hall of Fame. RCW has their own little Hall of Fame they do, and they put Macho Man in that, and I think they inducted Laney as well. But really cool guy. He was just kind of quiet doing his thing, but he hasn't. I don't know when the last time it would even be documented that he's wrestled a match, but he went out there and wrestled.
Really?
The guy fucked off of moonsault and stuff. And I'm like, dude, he still got it. It was wonderful.
Wow.
And if you ever go back and watch some of his stuff, whenever he was leaping Lenny Poffo, I mean, the guy, he could
go.
Really fly. He was doing good, crazy stuff, man.
Yeah. He's one of those guys that over the years, such a good talker, not even wrestling wise, but just his poems and you know what I mean.
Yeah. I think his style was a little bit ahead of his time, but it was overshadowed just by how much of a great talker he was and everything. And he actually does have that voice, that real deep, poetic kind of. That's just the way he talks. But he's really, really cool guy. Just real laid back and whatever. And that just blew my mind. I think that was my favorite moment of the night. I was like, oh my god, he just did a move.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. PWF 500. You made that before.
Yeah. I made it once. It's one of those things. I made it in once, and that's whenever I was doing the Fabulous Fred Flash gimmick. I was doing that more then. So I think it actually had more to do with me being on that show, the Al Snow one, because it was so big and having the names like Danny Bonaducci and everything. So I'm sitting there one day at work, and I'm working at this college at this coffee shop, and somewhere in that weekend, I ended up I'd always go to PWI and look in the magazines, and then one day I just see RCW in the rankings. So I call the promoter. I'm like, yo, bro, we're like in the rankings. So they had me as a champ, and Danny Bonaducci, Al Snow, and all these other guys like in the top 10 there. And then whenever the 500 came out, I made it in. One of my buddies messaged me. He's like, hey, you're on the list there, and I was like, oh, that's great. So yeah, I talked to my one buddy, one of my buddies that I grew up with from. I'm talking like elementary school, like being kids, backyard wrestling and all that, is a guy named Big Time Bill Collier, who's, this guy, he's got the look, the size, everything. Like, he should be in WWE. He's had a couple of tryouts, and, he's doing his thing up in New York, but he's definitely a guy to be looking out for. But he makes it in almost every year. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to him about it. It's like, man, I made it in 2011, and I haven't been back in it, feel some type of way, whatever. And he's like, well, you're always going to be in that forever, so nobody can take that from you. I was like, well, yeah, but, I'd still like to make it back. I think I'm doing a little better, per se, than I was that year. Like, it was one of those things. I made it in 2011, 2012, 2013. I was getting booked every weekend. I was going out and stuff, and then I didn't make it, and I'm like,
yeah.
But it's one of those things, I don't know how it works out or whatever.
Say, you don't know, really
so a lot of the guys
process.
will be like, oh, it's a work, blah, blah, blah. But it was still cool to be like, hey, Mom, remember that magazine you used to get me? I'm in it,
Yeah.
So for me, it's just everything coming full circle. And it was just cool. It was like, okay, well, that kind of satisfied the little kid in me that used to always spend his allowance money on these magazines and stuff to be able to, have this.
Do you have a copy of it?
Yeah, I actually do.
Okay. Yeah.
So I know Miz was number 1 on it. I was 471.
Wait, Miz was number 1 in 2011?
Yep, that year, 2011. Miz was number 1.
Yeah, that whole system must be really screwed then, but never mind.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but I actually I'm a fan of Miz.
I am too. But out of 500, you could put 500 people, and I would love to see the top 10 from that.
Yeah, that year. So it's interesting. So yeah, I've been told things like maybe the first 100 or however many are legit put in there by the writers, and then they kind of just fish it out of the hat thing. So maybe my number just hasn't been drawn again. Right. I don't know, but that just goes on my little thing with quietly holding these records and
longest reigning
title reigns. Yeah, so it's like somebody could acknowledge that, but whatever. I'm not worried about it too much.
Shout out Bill Apter and have him get on there.
Yeah, but dude, what's up? Put me in the spotlight or something. Give me something.
That's cool though. Yeah. Okay, let's talk a little bit about your music projects you got going.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, before I even the last thing I was doing creatively before I even decided to go train and wrestle, I was singing in a band. It was kind of punk, kind of metal, whatever. It was called Permission by Size, but there was that's all I was doing. I was always drumming in bands or singing. Recently, well, I'd say not too recently, but in my later years after I started wrestling and stuff, I picked up a guitar and I learned how to play guitar. I bought myself a drum machine. So all the music that I'm doing now is, I sit at the house. I even got an acoustic guitar, just got recently, and, I come up with a riff and then I throw the drum machines on it. And the thing with the drum machine, I've drummed forever, 25 years or so. So that's one thing I will toot my horn. If you put me behind a drum kit, I will totally kick ass on it. I'm really, really good. I could even write music as far as drums. So it's one of those things that's just, the icing on the cake whenever I get to that point. The challenge for me is coming up with that right riff and getting those tunes to kind of work out and stuff. And I've made, I guess my music style would be, it's metal. If I can name drop some bands that my influences are, would be, there's a band, Death, Chuck Schuldiner. They were the coined death metal band. They were just amazing. Just very heavy stuff, but then at the same time, a lot of melodic stuff. And you could kind of just, you're listening to their albums and it's like a symphony, just heavy metal goodness. So you can hear a lot of that in my music, but doing the drum machine, it kind of has an industrial feel to it. So I feel like I have like influences of stuff like Fear Factory, and I started down tuning my guitar and stuff that sounds like a Muir and a Acacia string, things like that. So I kind of taken all that and kind of wrapped it in. I guess whatever would be the stuff that you would listen to, you're kind of taking that. Even a little bit of the Thin Lizzy twin guitar attacks. I got a little bit of that going on, but I only know I've never been like classically trained. I don't know. I'm just learning how to do actual chords, like that's C and G and F and whatever. But I could read tablature, which is by the numbers and stuff. So I've been able to learn how to play songs like that. And then once you kind of get rolling there, you just start making your own stuff. And I just really enjoy it. I have pretty much like a whole album ready. I just got to get it out there. But if anybody wants to check it out, they could go to SoundCloud. I have it under For the Empire. I think that was the name I came up with, but it has nothing to do with the Roman Empire, totally like 3 or 4 years before that. But, it's just some stuff I put up there. Some of it has vocals, some of it's just the music itself. Added little keyboards to some of it. But if anybody wants to check it out, that's into metal. For the Empire, you'll see it says like one man metal project out of Pittsburgh, PA. Another one that I have the profile of, I found an old CD that my band recorded that I was in Permission by Side, and that's under like my legit name. So it's Fred Thornton. That's THORNTON 3, and that's on. If you go to the 40 Empire, you can find it on one of the ones that I'm following. But I put up a couple of songs that we had, and it was just nice to kind of hear it again. It's like, oh my God, this is a studio release. My vocals were a little on the brutal side on some of the songs, so I tried to put up some of the better ones, but I pretty much got kicked out after we recorded that album. So it's one of those things. I kind of tossed the CD, and then I was sitting at my dad's house, and I see the CD, and it says his name's Fred too. He's Fred Senior. I'm Junior, and it says Fred Junior. This is you. And I pick it up and I put it on, and I'm like, oh my God, this is Permission by Side. This is our like little studio album. So it's really cool to find that. But whenever I think about things that I want to do outside of wrestling, and whenever I finally do hang it up, that's one thing that I would love to do. I've been listening to a lot of punk rock lately, so a lot of 80s stuff. Dead Kennedys, Black Flag, Descendants, Husker Du. A lot of guys from like way back in, a lot of old school hardcore punk, and now that's kind of more the direction I could kind of see myself going in. So like if you go and listen to the 40 Empire stuff on SoundCloud, you're going to hear a lot of the more technical metal stuff. But I think the new round of music that I'm going to be uploading soon is going to be more straightforward punk, a lot more stripped down and just aggressive and just crazy. But I already have a name for the album that I want to come out with. A lot of people told me that my music sounds like sad and depressing, so it's called The Depression. So, it's kind of, for me, I write stuff, some of the stuff I write is, it could be like about like the one song called Reflect the Light, and it's kind of about traveling in space and all this crazy stuff. But then I have another song called Depression, where it's like, welcome to my depression, and, it's kind of like whenever I have those moments and stuff, where I'm feeling down and I'm having some bad things going on in my life, instead of finding negative ways to deal with it, I'll pick up a piece of paper and draw a picture or paint, or, I'll pick up the guitar and I'll write some music, and I get it out. And, sometimes it sounds so, like, oh my God, like this sounds so like morbid and dreary, but it's really helping me get out the emotions and everything that otherwise it would be hard to get out. So, there's times that I've written some of the songs where I'm listening to, I'm doing like the solo over it or doing a part over the guitar, and it sounds like angels singing. It's just like, you just, you feel it. So there's nothing like that feeling. And that's what I love about the wrestling. I've had, just recently, I've kind of had to, the recent breakup I had, kind of dropped everything, kind of had to kind of restart over, and I'm in the process of still like rebuilding, new jobs, the whole 9 yards. And it was great to get back on the road with the boys, get out there, go wrestle, and do my thing. So, I came back so sore, wrestled 3 matches, but I came back with another title, and I got to go get some of that out. So, that's one thing I'm always grateful with wrestling. I get have that time to go out there and perform for, somebody who's spending their hard-earned dollars. And, if they're feeling it, I'm feeling it. That's something for me, even personally, that I just love to be able to kind of get that all out in the ring and just, exhaust myself in every way physically and get all those emotions out in the ring telling a story, and then, be able to see that somebody out there is enjoying it. I had a match with the finals with me and Ed House, and man, we got to the towards the end of the match, and you could just hear every near 3 count we were just hitting, and everybody was just going nuts. And whenever I was talking about it, I'm getting goosebumps now. It's just like you could feel, it's just like, oh my god, so it's just great. It's a wonderful thing. So I'm very fortunate to have the music to kind of be able to release, and definitely the wrestling too.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, last question. If you could pick anybody, past or present, for a dream opponent.
Who would it be?
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably already stated that it'd have to be Sabu.
Yeah.
I'd love to work him. If there was anybody else, I'd say, definitely Sabu would be number one. But
and if we're sorry to interrupt you, but booking agent Sean Patrick Mullen just picked up Sabu as a client also. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, I've seen that. So, you never know.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so, we will see what happens in the future, So, I've already met the guy, and like I said, he was really awesome. So I'd love to be able to meet him again and hang out and stuff even. But, if I got to work with him, that would be absolutely wonderful. But, other than that, I mean, anybody, like, say somebody that isn't working anymore, I would definitely, like, somebody like Dynamite Kid. I know I'd probably go out there and get my ass kicked. But that's been, between him and Sabu, those guys have been big influences on me. I know whenever I first started out, all I was watching was, like, Dynamite Kid, Tiger Mask. I was watching every match I could of those guys and stuff. And there's little things that I see that I'm still doing to this day. Just certain moves I even did in my last match that it's like, yep, you're a Sabu fan, or, no, that's Dynamite or Tiger. So, that's definitely those two guys right there. But number one, definitely anybody that knows me is like, yeah, Sabu. I wouldn't care how many tables I got put through. Like, constant experience,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, well, I want to thank you for being on. I really appreciated it.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me. And, anytime you want to have me on again, next time we got to talk the conspiracy theory.
Yeah, we didn't even get to that. Yeah. You want to shout out your social media stuff?
What's that?
You want to plug out your social media stuff?
Yeah. Anybody wants to look me up? Right now, I am on that 5,000 friend limit, but it is Fred Flash. You'll see me holding the 2 titles that I recently acquired. So, I try to accept any friend requests I get every day. If you friend request me, I will do my best to accept it. If you don't get on, just check out Fred Flash Wrestling. I'm on there. I'm on Twitter at Fat Fred Flash, but I probably haven't been on there in about a year or so I'm totally irrelevant on Twitter. I don't even think I'm relevant enough to have a Twitter. But just check out Fred Flash Wrestling, the wrestling page. Make sure you like it. I'm getting closer to 1,000 likes. One of the things I want to do something for, all the fans that have supported me. I'm going to try to put out some more matches on there the closer I get to 1,000. So maybe I could do something special and pull some kind of awesome match that I had in the past out of my butt to put on there for everybody for supporting. But Fred Flash on Facebook. Fred Flash Wrestling is the wrestling page, my like page. And then, if you guys want to check out the music for the Empire, green logo, you'll see it on SoundCloud. And then just follow that on the rabbit hole. Check out Fred Thornton 3 and check out my old band, Permission by Size. But, I'm out and about on there. So, just look for me. You'll find me.
Sounds good.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much. And like I said, next time, conspiracy theories, totally in, bro.
Definitely. All right. That was my conversation with Fred Flash, the RCW World Champion and U.S. Champion. Make sure you guys check him out all over Pennsylvania. And hopefully, shout out to Sean Patrick Mullen once again, booking agent. Get him hooked up. Maybe let him work with Sabu somewhere down the line. That would be awesome. dream come true for everybody around. But if you guys want to check out his Facebook page and check out his music on SoundCloud, I listened to a little bit of it. Pretty good, I have to say. So, thank you again for Flash for coming on. And I get out of here on my plugs. Facebook group page, Electric City Wrestling Fans, and iTunes, Electric City Wrestling Fans Podcast. Please like, rate, review, subscribe, pass the word along, tell your friends, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.